don't.
I gotta give Kelly a minute.
Start looking at that. And the blue looks to be pretty high. Oh, the blues are good? Wait. Oh, weekly cases were 100,000, less than 10 new cases.
Are you ready to start?
This is less than 10 new cases.
Text him. I'm gonna start the meeting.
All these different parts together.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Merrillville Town Council meeting for today, May 11th, 2021 at 6:35 p.m. Please stand for the invocation and a moment of silence.
Let's pray. Oh God, our Father, we thank you, first of all, for your grace and your mercy to us. We pray tonight, Father, for our community, for peace, for joy, for our families, for strength, for our children. God, we ask you to bless those who are the first responders. Keep them safe as they protect us as a community. And Father, now our prayers for wisdom and guidance through this meeting this evening, that all may honor you, would benefit the community, and serve others. Thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Mr. Hardaway, would you lead us in a pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk Treasurer, would you call the roll, please?
Certainly. Councilman Spann. Councilman Hardaway.
Here.
Councilman Minchuk.
Here.
Councilwoman Uzelak.
Here.
Councilman Pettit. Councilman White.
Here.
Councilman Bella.
Here.
5 present.
Thank you. I will notate that Mr. Pettit is here. He's on a call in the room behind us. He'll be here shortly. Moving on tonight to petitions, communications, acknowledgements, and remonstrations. We have the letter from Town Engineering Administrator Steve King endorsing Core Construction's recommendation to approve payment for application number 19 to various vendors for work completed at the Merrillville Community Center. Mr. King.
Yes, President Bella. The town's professional staff and myself, we reviewed the April 2021 billing for the Dean and Barbara White Community Center. We concur with Core Construction's recommendations on approving payment application 17 for the vendors listed below in a total amount of $333,466.96.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. Hardaway, second by Mr. Minchuk for approval of application number 19 to pay the vendors. Thank you, Mr. King.
Welcome.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on tonight to the consent agenda, we have the accounts payable register voucher approval for May 11th, and also the approval of town council meeting minutes of April 27th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Uzelak, seconded by Mr. Minchuk for approval. And then we did have a revised claims list at our chairs tonight. Kelly, is there a change to it versus our Friday mailer?
I am trying to find out what the actual difference is.
Okay.
Because I wasn't told when I was in the office today that there was a revision. I'm just looking to see what the change is. If you give me a moment, I can get back with you on it. If you want to pass it, maybe?
Sure.
You can pass the consent agenda and then go straight to the standing special committees.
We'll pass on that then until Kelly can verify. I wanted to point out what the changes were so we know we're
Right. No,
Okay.
absolutely.
We'll come back to it. Moving on to standing and special committee reports, budget and
President.
finance.
I don't think you did discussions on this one here.
We're going to pass until Kelly can find out
Oh, okay,
why there's a revised one,
okay,
and then we'll come back and discuss it and then vote on it.
okay.
Moving on to Budget and Finance, Chairman, Mr. Hardaway.
Thank you, Mr. President. Later on in the meeting, there will be a second reading on ordinance 21-08, the American Rescue Plan Act for 2021. And on May the 19th at 4:30, we will have a town council workshop to further discuss the American Rescue Plan. Hopefully, everyone has gotten the information that we talked about last Monday regarding the plan and some ideas that we came up with, and we ask that you come prepared on the 19th to discuss further the things that we can do with this. We're going to get $3.5 million this year, things that you would like to see done with that money, as well as planning for next year. So that concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you. Council Affairs, Mr. Pettit's absent right now. We'll come back to that. Make a note. Public Works and Utilities, Mr. Minchuk.
Yes, sir. We will be meeting on the 13th at 3:30 to discuss some topics, and I'll have a report back at the next meeting.
Thank you. We'll also pass now for our elections and public relations until Mr. Pettit can join us. Environmental Affairs, Mrs. Uzelak.
Oh, on environmental affairs, oh, thank you for the diagram that you got off the website. Everybody should have this in their packet. Okay, so far with the COVID, we have had one pass away over the weekend in our area, northwestern Indiana. We have a total of 12,991 Hoosiers that have passed so far from COVID. And what we're looking at is so far we have had 2,110,729,000 that have been vaccinated. So if somebody still wants to get their vaccination, they could go to the Gary Board of Health or to the Roosevelt Center, which will still be open, and probably some of the hospitals here. So that's all I have to report, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. Personnel Policy and Employee Benefits, Mr. Hardaway.
Thank you, Mr. President. There will be an executive session on May 19th at 3:45 for the Personnel Committee, and on May the 26th at 3:45 and 5:30 at the Dean and Barbara White Community Center. Both of these are executive sessions, but as always, anyone is welcome to come.
Anyone from the council, you mean?
Anyone
right?
from the council.
Thank you.
Is welcome to come, and the elected official. That's all I
I
have.
saw Karen and Chaz like,
Yeah, I know you guys got excited. Don't get excited.
Anything else, Mr. Hardaway?
That's all I have, sir.
Thank you. Public Safety, Mr. Minchuk.
Yes, sir. Chief Catino invited us over today to look at the new North Station and the new training center at the Cruising Center. He did an excellent job on both. Thank you for all you've been doing, Chief, and keep it going. That is all I have at this time.
Okay. I will point out on the agenda there, that was from last week. We forgot to take that off of the agenda, so I don't have a comment, nor does Chief Catino tonight, so. Economic Development, Mr. Pettit will come back. Parks and Recreations, Mrs. Uzelak.
Yes, underneath the parks, we have hired underneath our personnel committee 2 or 3 lawnmowers doing the parks and public works. They will be part-time. The other people we have not really verified, but that was with the personnel policy and employee benefits with Mr. Hardaway. But we will have our parks mowed. That I do know so far. But there are more people to be interviewed too, okay? Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr. White.
this is for Chairwoman Uselak.
Yes.
At the Cruising Center and the flower boxes and stuff, I don't know who would be responsible for weeding it out and kind of making it beautiful and make sure
Well,
they stay on
I
top
think
of.
that would be underneath Jan with the Cruisin' Center and the parks.
That is contracted for 1 year to Cubinger Landscaping.
Who
Okay.
is the contractor?
Hubinger.
Oh, you bigger. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, can you ask them to kind of de-weed it, because it's weeds. I just noticed it today when I went over there, so I appreciate if they may be able to get that done for us. Thank you. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Moving on to abandoned and blighted properties, Mr. Hardaway.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had an abbreviated pro-temp conversation this afternoon. We were missing a connection over here, so we really couldn't do what we needed to do. And so we're going to reschedule it. Part of the problem was that, our study circles went over today.
Yeah.
For all of us. And because they went over, it was probably about almost a quarter till by the time I got here. And it was supposed to start at 5:30, so we would rush to that, and then we had to do RDC, so we couldn't really do what we wanted. But, there's some interesting numbers there. So we're going to hopefully try to schedule something like next month, first meeting or something next month.
Okay.
We don't have anything, so that we will be able to devote all of our time
Okay.
to hearing this presentation, because I think it's going to be something that that's worthwhile for us, even if we don't make a lot of money from it. It'll have somebody else looking at the vacant and abandoned properties and the rental properties to do exactly what needs to be done in the town, so that we don't end up with a bunch of blights. But one of the numbers that sticks out with me, Vicki, was the 243 houses right now that we have that are empty. And that was just, ballpark. So there's probably a lot more out there. By the time we get through with this thing, it'll probably be over 1,000 homes that's going to be impacted by this vacant and abandoned building project.
Okay.
So stay tuned. We'll do something next month.
Thank you. Moving on to the Dean and Barbara White Community Center, Mr. Minchuk.
Yes, sir. If you don't mind, I'd like to back up for a second. I missed my notes here. Back to Parks under Chairman Uselak.
Sure.
In Ward 3, I know last year we had a few problems at Steffes Park in the warmer weather, and I reached out to Steve King to see if we can get some more lighting, because it's pretty dark at nighttime. I've been advised that lighting will be installed within the next 2 weeks. NIPSCO is going to donate lighting to us. So I'd like to thank Steve, and I'd like to thank NIPSCO for helping us light the park up.
That's great.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Just to get that out there.
Good news. Good work on that.
Back to the community center. Right now, everything's looking good. We're just welcoming more people to come, check the community center out, see what it's about, see what we have to offer. The White's Field is looking great. The concession stand is hopefully, I'm guessing about halfway done. And then, like I said, I know prior weeks I keep saying it, but it's the last piece we have that's not sponsored yet. So please, anybody know anybody in town that would like to sponsor the concession stand, please reach out to the council. I really, really appreciate it. It's the last thing we need to get done, and we can move forward and present something really nice for the kids in that sports field. That is all I have at this time, sir.
Thank you. Special Projects Committee, including food and beverage tax, diversity, town birthday, Mr. Hardaway.
Thank you, Mr. President. The birthday committee, we continue to meet as we prepare for our first event on May 22nd. We need volunteers for this event, and so if anyone knows of any high school or college students that need community service hours for the fall, this is going to be a great opportunity for them to pick up 4 hours easily. So just have them contact myself or town administration, and we'll welcome them with open arms. Today we completed our first study circle participation with 2 groups, and based on everything that was said in my group, I think everyone enjoyed it. They walked away from it enlightened and had extra tools in their toolboxes that they could take not only into the community, but take it home with them and share it around the dinner table. So everybody was well pleased with that. The next two groups are it's gonna be two groups of 14 that will start on June the 8th. And so I saw your email about asking people to sign up for that. So that'll be 28 that we get done then, and then we'll come back in July and have two more groups. So, I think that hopefully if we get the participation from those that we had in our groups, then we're gonna have a well-rounded, town, and we'll be able to show people that we are a welcoming community and invite people to come and live in our community. So I think it was a great time. We appreciate the council's support in this endeavor. And we just know that once we get everybody through, then we're looking for some aftercare too. So maybe once a year or something like that, we can do like a 2-hour study session you can bring like more employees in at one time, because it's just going to be something where just kind of like getting a booster shot.
Like a refresher, yeah.
Right. So that's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you. I will add, Richard, to the report, the groups that finished today were the town department heads, with the exception of Kevin, because he was on vacation, and all elected officials. And so we did that first because it's kind of tough to ask 150 employees to go through diversity and inclusion training if we didn't go through it ourselves. And so we did. We finished it. We're going to model the new ones for the employees a little differently, and hope that they get a great experience out of it also. So I'm looking forward to them starting it too and getting through it. So, thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
Anything else on town birthday? You should probably maybe talk about that, huh?
That's it. We're excited. May 22nd from 1 to 4 down in Public Works. We've got, we're going to have a tent. You're going to be able to go through the museum. For those who've never been through the museum, this is going to be an excellent opportunity for you to go through the museum. And again, I still invite all of the council to meet us there one day so we can all take a picture upstairs in the old council chamber.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah.
So that we can see what it looks like, and just give us something to do, something to be proud of.
What time does that start?
1 to 4 on May 22nd.
And then Pat organized banners going on Broadway starting this week.
That should be tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have some yard signs we ordered too.
Right,
to
okay.
Get up this week, so
Right, okay.
I'll coordinate that with Kevin.
We'll keep him busy.
There's not that many of them. Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to department and commission reports, Lake County Solid Waste Management District, Councilman White.
Mr. President, no report.
I'm sorry, Mr. White, did you say no report?
No report
Okay.
for me. I did see that they had, what the city of Hobart had, what the solid waste district is going to do, a household hazardous waste day, but that wasn't part of my report, but
Okay, all right,
I seen it on our town page.
thank you. Northern Indiana Regional Planning Commission, otherwise known as NERC, Mr. Hardaway.
No report, Mr. President, because our next meeting is not until May 19th.
Okay.
May 20th, I'm sorry.
Okay. Stormwater Management Resources, Director Matt Lake. Mr. Lake, how are you?
Hi, thank you. I don't have much of a report other than a little feedback from the rains over the weekend.
Okay.
We had, according to our rain gauge, about 3¼ inches of rain. And we didn't get a lot of calls, but we did get a couple calls with regards to sanitary backups in the Meadowdale area. So I did reach out to Dan Bakari, the director for the Gary Sanitary District. And we had talked a little bit about, what they're planning to do with their American Rescue Plan money. They're kind of at the same stage we are, just kind of getting together, talking about it, and throwing some ideas around. We have until 2024 to spend the money. But I asked them about maybe some programs up there with regards to maybe some replacement of lines and some improvements, and maybe some other programs that will help their customers up there to reduce I&I and reduce backups into the basements and things like that from when sanitary gets surcharged after rain events. So So that's all I have.
His response was?
He's all for it, but again, it's their whole committee, so they all got to be on board. It can't just be him.
Right.
They had some other ideas about how to recoup some money because some people aren't able to pay bills, so that's considered a loss. So they can claim that, kind of like when we lose revenues from taxes. You know, that's kind of the first thing Trista's looking at to kind of bring money back in and use that money for, you know, the needs of the town.
I got a call from one lady over on Pierce,
Yeah.
53rd and Pierce.
Okay,
And she's the first time she said she ever had sewage back up in
yeah,
her basement. And
Yeah.
It was probably a couple feet, I think.
yeah. And that's again, it's an I&I issue. It's something that we got to work with Gary Sanitary District on. But yeah, they're getting a substantial amount of money. I'm not sure where they're going to funnel their money to, but I just want to, you know,
Let's hope
be
part of-
involved in
let's
the-
hope part of it hits that area.
yeah, exactly.
you.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question for you, Matt.
Sure, go ahead.
My conversation with you, I believe it was Monday, yesterday.
Yes,
I had got a call on 55th and Grant Street,
yes,
and they said actually that the sewer manhole cover was pushing water out. So
Yeah.
would it be an I&I? Would that also be mixed with raw sewage?
that catch basin, I met with Mrs. Green, was out there with her. She showed me the structure. It was a sanitary structure on the sidewalk that was surcharging.
Yeah.
So that was
So-
the issue. That
So here's where is the issue for me when it comes to public safety. Anytime you're throwing sewage out of even though it's got I&I in it, when you got raw sewage coming out of that does create a public health issue.
Yeah.
So Dan Bakari and his group need to find out really quick
Yeah.
what they want to do with it.
And they need to report to IDM as well. That was another
Absolutely.
thing, so I did
Because
mention
that was a overflow.
Yeah.
Additionally, I think we had talked about the pond behind even though this is in Don Span water, if he would have been here, he would have been able to talk about it maybe. But that pond back there, I don't know, it rained pretty hard this week. It looked like it rained for 24 hours.
It was a surge, yeah.
And I think that, when that pond, when the parking lot drains to that pond, the capacity is way underrated for that pond. So I don't know how we address that because it's been an issue for a while. I'm sure we may have some rain again to that extent. So if you had any additional ideas for that, I
Are
would
you referring to
appreciate
the
it.
Hickory Ridge Lake apartment
Yes.
pond? Yeah, that's a private pond, and we had preliminary engineering to do a regional basin on their property. We just need an easement. Then we can move forward with full engineering and then invest probably a couple $1 million
But-
in a basin there.
But the private owners won't give you the easement, correct?
Correct. There's a board. And so we had correspondence, we had letters go out, emails go out, and they seemed like they were in favor, but then it just kind of dies out and they don't want to commit to it. I even had a draft easement agreement that we
Again,
sent them.
The problem we run into is if it's a privately owned pond, until
Yes.
we get permission from the ownership to go onto the pond,
Yeah.
we can't really do anything.
No, but I'm talking about a complete improvement, not just the existing pond, but reconstructing the whole area to create more storage. Talking another, 14, 15 acre feet of storage. Because they got a lot of property there that they're not using. And I think we can make use of it because that's our limiting factor up north is we have limited space. When that was all developed, they didn't think about stormwater back then. So it was pretty much just,
So how do we hold them accountable for when that pond overflows and comes out of their property onto other property?
Well, when that pond overflows, it goes to that, there's like a little, like a dead-end street cut out there that we kind of grassed over.
Yes.
It spills into there and then gets into the intersection, and then from there it goes into Turkey Creek. And when Turkey Creek is full, it starts to back up in that intersection. But none of those homes are connected to our storm drain pipes. The only pipe that's connected to the homes is a sanitary pipe. And so the one way that they can prevent backups when they're thrown home is a backwater valve. So they hook that up to their sanitary supply line there, and when it starts to come back out, the valve closes. And they can't flush their toilets, but at least they're not getting, a bunch of raw sewage in their,
Right.
or diluted raw sewage, I should say,
Okay.
and into their basement. So that's the one thing I always recommend and kind of go through. We even have a video on our webpage about it, about
So-
backwater valves.
So we can't hold Hickory Ridge accountable for the water that runs off their property and down the street to the ditch? Wow.
No, but the best thing for that circumstance is to give us an easement, and then we can move forward with engineering and create a regional base in there, and that would be the best strategy to help out the area, you know, so kind of like what we're doing at Cruising Center, but we'd be doing another one there on their property. We just need the easement to do it.
Matt, why don't you get a hold of me and.
Sure, I'll send you all the
we'll try to-
correspondence and
We'll try
stuff.
to reach out to the ownership and see if we can't get something done
Yeah,
on a regional base.
yeah, I'll send you all the information I have, all the correspondence, and then all the contacts and everything else for that. And,
Okay, okay, Matt, thank you.
okay, thank you.
Thanks, Matt. South Shore Visitors and Convention Authority, Mr. Reardon.
Thank you, Mr. Bella. No report. We have our next meeting, May 20th, and I look forward to reporting out to the council after.
Thank you. Department reports. Jan, Kevin, Steve, Vicky.
Good evening, council.
Hi,
I'd just
Jan.
like to report that the first Monday and Wednesday of June, from 6:30 to 7:30, our Pilates and Zumba classes start. We've taken off with summer day camp. We actually have quite a few people that are signing up. We have an epic volleyball tournament this weekend we're preparing for. Our next epic volleyball tournament after that will be the 1st of June. And then immediately following that, we will have an EAC wrestling tournament. Tomorrow I will appear on WJOB radio at 8:30 with Chuck Gardner and Jim Deedlow. It's a Think Park show, and I will be highlighting the Dean and Barbara White Center along with our event center as well, as far as registrations and rentals. We, last minute, due to weather, held the National Prayer Day ceremony at the Dean and Barbara White Community Center. Everything went well without a hitch. They had a beautiful choir there. I was pleased with the event. And I think that's it, other than I want to thank you, Mr. Bella.
Me?
Yes, you, for helping and us with the Magic Info Board and your creativity in
pleasure.
organizing that and creating that with us.
We have some more work to do, but we'll get there.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Jan.
Quick question. Jim.
Yes, sir.
Last night, you had a big group there last night. What was happening there last night?
We now have the Nike basketball
Oh, that's right. Okay.
teams there.
Okay.
So we have them, and we also have volleyball as well, practicing there.
Okay, yeah, 'cause the parking lot was full, about 7-something last night.
Yeah,
Yeah, good work, good stuff.
thank you.
Mr. Markle.
I don't have nothing to report, except I'm glad to be back from vacation and be back to work.
We're glad you're back too.
I do got a question, though. The diversity training, I know you got me signed up, but you said that they're taking volunteers for the next class, if anybody wants to take it next?
Yes, department heads will be notified so that you can fill into different slots. There'll be 2 groups of 14. And what we're going to do is, in other words, for example, allow Public Works to send 4 people, allow the town judge to send 4 people, et cetera, so that we also have a diverse group of employees who don't normally work together.
Okay,
So, yeah,
And it's
we'll
gonna
be,
be the-
we'll be sending something out to you.
okay. It's going to be the same time?
No, it's going to be, for you guys, it's going to be 2:30 to 4 o'clock.
Okay,
Yep,
Because
so,
to respect you guys is get off time, what time you get off, quitting time. So we don't want to do you guys like us from 4 to 5:30. We're going to
Okay.
do you guys from 2:30 to 4 o'clock. That
no,
way-
there's been people asking about it, so if they wanted to take, I know I'm signed up for it next, but some other people.
well, everyone's going to go through it, Kevin.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we'll send out details this week.
okay.
Yep.
That was it.
Kevin? Kevin?
Kevin?
Leonard had, Mr. White had something for you.
Yes.
Yeah, you and I briefly talked today, and because I was kind of interested in, and I was going to ask Rick and Pat to come down to the North Barn. The building looks kind of shabby, and I asked him what it do, how would it look if it was painted, but he said there's some other issues with that barn, so I don't know if it's something we can do, but would you like to explain it, Kevin?
Leonard asked me about if we could paint the north barn, because it's old. I mean, and I explained to him how it used to be the Smith farm and it housed
Right.
cows and stuff, and it was donated to the town. And I said, we can paint it, but that's not the main issue that needs to be taken care of first. The roof has to get fixed because it's rotting and it just leaks. And if that keeps up, the rafters are gonna rot out. So before we paint it, we need to fix the roof first.
Okay.
And we had looked into it about 8 years ago, I believe. But Merrillville was in a money crunch really bad, and we just couldn't afford it at the time. And it's kind of, just keeps getting put on the back burner for now.
Would you mind getting a new recent quote to see what it will cost to get it,
I can get
Repaired?
quotes for it,
and then let us know, and we'll
yeah. Okay.
we'll go
look
to
in-
Uncle Sean and
I'll get the numbers for it.
get the money from Sean.
But like that north barn, it's a really big asset for the town.
Oh, sure.
I mean, it's
Absolutely.
nothing just to let fall down like the EMS building. So
Okay.
I'll get the prices and everything for that.
Hey, one more thing, Kevin, before you go back. I know Leonard also asked you about your new equipment, a couple dump trucks and the backhoe. Our funding should be available shortly, so you can start your, your ordering process.
Oh, we already
Excuse
got the backhoe.
Oh, you did already?
It's sitting in the garage. I just got to give them the money for it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And the trucks are ordered.
Are you keeping the backhoe hidden, or what's the deal?
It's not sitting in the north barn, is it?
No,
Oh, okay.
no.
I want to know.
Okay, so, all right, fine.
But the trucks won't be here till December.
Oh,
But they were ordered as soon as you guys did the first reading,
okay,
because by the time we talked about it in that first reading, it got, the building process got put back 3 months by that time already. So I just made a verbal commitment to them guys that we were gonna buy the trucks,
okay.
and it got passed, so, but they won't be here till, the trucks won't be until December.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Kevin. Mhm.
Thank you. Any other, Mr. King?
I'll make it quick. We started the local paving program this morning. We're in Ward 7 in the Barclay Village area. We had a contractor in there, got machinery all over the place, and residents respectfully, move their cars out of the way. They were posting no parking signs, and they were all notified a week in advance, so that went well. So we're gonna continue to work on that. Also, I just wanna mention a couple additions to the list, and I'll send out the revised list, tomorrow. There were 3 streets that we're gonna add. I know we weren't doing Wards 2 and 6 until next year, however, in Ward 6, East 99th Lane, and there's another Pike Street. These are at the very end of Randolph Street in the last subdivision on the west side of the road. We paved Randolph as part of our community crossings. The same contractor got the local paving. We were right next to the subdivision, so using a little common sense, we just did that while we were out there. It's a small area, but it saved us money by doing it that way because we were right there anyway. So just let you know. Got another one, Ward 2, Mr. Hardaway's Ward 53rd Lane, Adams to Madison. This has been on the list since well before Bruce left. I get calls about it all the time. There's issues over there, so we're going to go ahead and do that one too. That's on the list, so we're still below. I got a total revised cost, $3,670,702.08, so we're still, well under the $5 million. You'll see, I'll send this list out tomorrow, and you guys will see budget-wise right where we're at. So I just want to let the council know and hopefully have their blessing to move forward with getting these things done.
Question for you, Steve. When your list says that there's paving and concrete, could you explain to me, because I'm not certain if it's, when you say concrete, does that include like aprons or is that just curbs?
No, it could be aprons, curbs, sidewalks, anything that has to do with concrete work.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
That's all I have for right now.
Thank you, sir.
Well,
Vicki, anything from you? I like calling the names out. It kind of gets them up.
We're starting grass cutting season, so that's, if you guys have anything in your ward that needs to be turned in, let us know. We just have to do a little reminder. It's like a babysitting job. You know, we go through, we say, okay, you know this from last year, and the year before, but, so if you've got anything, let us know, okay? Thanks.
Thank you. Moving on tonight to general orders, we have
Mr.
ordinances.
President?
Mr. President, I hate to cut you off, but before we move on to general orders,
Mr. Minchuk.
can we go back to the pending motion we have under the consent agenda?
Yeah, because I'm ready.
Well,
I'm ready if you are.
sure, we can. Going back to something we put on hold was the consent agenda. It's the accounts payable voucher approval for May 11th. And I'm assuming it's going to be the revised one, Kelly, is that right?
Yes, the revised version.
And also, we have the approval of town council meeting minutes of April 27th. So what is different on the claims list?
So on page 3 of 5, from the original claims list, there is a bill from police equipment bill. It's a difference of $281.72, which was voided and given to Linda on Monday. There was just an error in how the invoice looked. So that one was paid already. It had been paid in February. So we did, though, pay. So there was 2 of them. We kept the one that's on the first page,
Okay.
which is $214.70, and voided the $281.72.
Oh, is
That's
that the
all.
only adjustment?
Yep.
Okay, very good.
Mr.
Thank you.
President?
Mr. White, we're open for discussion.
I'm sorry.
We're open for discussion. We already had a motion on the floor to approve the consent agenda, Mrs. Uselak and Mr. Minchuk.
Okay.
So go ahead.
No, in the terms of the accounts payable, is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
I noticed there were several items for Barnes and Thornburg, the attorneys.
Yeah.
I'm not certain what work they actually do for us. Is that like paying them a fee, just a general fee?
I'm assuming it's the bond work.
Those are the attorneys, those are bond attorneys for the
Yeah.
canal. Well, Pat can speak to it more, but that's, what they
Okay.
do for us, correct, Pat?
Okay.
Pat?
Correct. In addition to serving, complimenting Mr. Svetnoff with all of our economic development work, and as the council would acknowledge that over the past several months, there's been an abundant amount of economic development work. Tonight is an example of the Liberty Estates project. That firm is very much involved in all of that work.
Okay, thank you. No more questions.
Any other questions or discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, the same sign. The motion carries. Kelly, the consent agenda is approved.
Mr. President?
Mr. White?
Yeah, actually, this is for Sheila, Ms. Shine. The conversation that we had with the owner of the parking lot on 61st at the Cross, did you talk about that, or do you want to talk about it?
No, I thought you said you was gonna talk about it, but I can.
Oh,
You
yeah.
want to talk about it?
Yes, ma'am.
So on Monday, we met with David Israel down at the plaza on 61st Avenue. We met with him and the maintenance manager, Vicky, myself, Councilman White. We met with him to talk about repairing the parking lot there, and Steve King. And we met with him to talk about repairing the parking lot. Mr. Israel has agreed to get estimates. We told him that the big craters in the parking lot have to be repaired, and he's getting estimates, and he said within 30 days, he's going to have started to repair that parking lot and maintain that parking lot. Also, we discussed with him the keeping of the back clean and the maintenance man said it's a 24-hour job to keep people from dumping there. But he was very receptive. He wanted to talk about, he's going to come in and meet with us and talk about what the town can do to assist him in getting the 61st Avenue Plaza with tenants or whatever. So we're going to make that with Pat, myself, Matt, and Steve will meet with him to talk about that. That's my report.
Thank you, Ms. Sheila. I did, when we did have the meeting with Mr. David Israel, it was really a great meeting. He seemed to be wanting to do a lot more. I learned a little bit more about the property lines that he had, and I was trying to offer him any assistance that we may be legally able to help him to, so we can make that place look good. He did complain about the Family Dollar store. He thought it was a little cluttery, not as clean. I didn't get a chance to go in there, but I don't know if that's a fire hazard or not, but I think that may be something we need to look into.
Maybe Vicky can help out with that.
Okay.
Well, if that's his
Fire
tenant, he can certainly enforce his rules and regulations against the tenant as well, so.
Okay.
He can self-police as well as we can police as well as the town.
Yeah, I think he's very interested, even with the Pancake House. I know that went down basically because of the pandemic, but we need to see that open some kind of way. So I'd like to see further discussions with him, and again, I'd like to see what we can offer to help him if there's something that we're able to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Before moving on to general orders, we will back up to the standing committees since Mr. Pettit has joined us now.
Actually, Mr. President, I'm only here for I'm still on my BZA meeting. I'm only here for the BZA I'm representing Lamar, so I'm not in attendance.
Oh,
So if we can, I'm just here to take the vote and see what the results are.
very good. Thank you for clarifying. Ordinance 21-11, ordinance of the Town of Merrillville authorizing the issuance of the Town of Merrillville Economic Development Revenue Bonds and approving and authorizing other actions in respect thereto.
Motion to accept ordinance 21-11.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Minchuk with a second by Mr. Hardaway for approval on first reading. Did you want to add anything, Madam Clerk Treasurer?
No.
Thereto, henceforth?
Whereas, though,
Whereas?
it's 4 pages, you guys would be really, really bored.
Why don't you give us a little
But,
synopsis?
just synopsis. Well, Economic Development Commission is ready to report to encourage the issuance of these bonds for Liberty Estate. And so that is pretty much what we're doing. Pat can speak to it better than I, since
Mr. Bearden,
it's
did you
together.
want to offer some comment on this before we vote?
Yes, sir, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you.
This document refers to the proposed Liberty Estates development scheduled to take place at the intersection of Whitcomb and US 30. It's a multi-million-dollar residential project with varied proposed residential units. We've worked collaboratively with the project owners and their representatives over the past several months. Staff is comfortable with this proposal and would recommend favorable passage to the town council.
We should point out that the bond will not to exceed $10 million.
Right.
Counselor, anything else we should highlight without,
And I think the Liberty Estates project is a developer-backed bond.
It is.
So we'll be buying.
That is correct.
So that's important.
That's an important note. You're right.
so this is a developer-backed bond, so there's no obligation to the town or threat, I should say. Questions or comments from the council? I know we've gone over it a few times. Mr. Pettit?
Nope.
Hearing none, Madam Clerk Treasurer.
I'm waiting on the vote
Roll
for the
call.
BZA, Mr. President. I've got Michigan City on the line in the conference room.
Okay, we'll hurry along here.
Councilman Hardaway.
Yes.
Councilman Minchuk.
Yes.
Councilwoman Yuzlak,
Yes.
Councilman White,
Yes.
Councilman Bella.
Yes. We have 6 ayes. Did Mr. Pettit vote?
I'm not sure. I think that Mr. Pettit.
I'm not here.
He's not here. He's not present
I'm not
because
here.
he's acting in the capacity of.
Okay, excuse me.
Right. Yeah, he's officially not on the.
5-0. Motion carries. I control the agenda. I'm moving down to BZA actions. Petitioner Lamar Advertising, owner District 1 Incorporated, Sheila Shine.
Sure. A variance of use approval Z12UV404, petitioner Lamar Advertising, owner District 1 Incorporated, proposed LED off-premise billboard. Petitioner is seeking a variance of use approval from section 21-898, located at 1299 East 93rd Avenue, generally located on I-65's east side, south of 93rd Avenue, to construct a 14 by 48 V-shaped steel monopole off-premise advertising sign with LED on both sides in the M2 Industrial Overlay District. The proposed variance of use will function in the same capacity as the existing billboard to the north. However, the digital functionality is more technology advanced, non-manual way to post static billboard advertising, resulting in a crisp, clear, electronically generated static image digital technology. Also speeds up delivery of emergency alerts concerning public safety, such as severe weather warning, tornadoes, floods, etc., as well as Amber Alert notices to find missing children. The current Town of Merrillville zoning ordinance permits digital structures under the specific guidelines. Lamar proposed digital structures will comply with all ordinances governing this use. Petitioner received approval on April 28, 2021.
Thank you, Sheila. Is the petitioner here this evening?
The petitioner is here. Sean Pettit, Real Estate Manager, Lamar Advertising.
Would you please approach the podium, sir, and use the microphone?
We're not kidding.
I have no problem.
If you're not sitting there as a councilman, then you need to be up there, sir.
Right.
Should I cover up my Merrillville crest? I don't have a
No,
Lamar
anybody can wear
shirt.
that. That's okay.
For the record, Sean Pettit, Real Estate Manager, Lamar Advertising, 1770 West 41st Avenue. This petition, ladies and gentlemen, is a lease entered into by Lamar with District 1, which is now the new owner of the old Merrillville Little League property. Merrillville Little League probably will not operate. District 1 is going to be refurbishing the fields. Lamar has an existing 14 by 48 on the property. We were graciously granted a spacing variance by the Board of Zoning Appeals at the April meeting to be less than 1,320 feet along I-65. As the town knows and has used in the past, if all 8 slots of the digital are not sold out, the town can advertise different town events and promote town activities.
Great, thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Hardaway, second by Mr. Minchuk for approval of this BZA action, Lamar Advertising, District 1, Inc. Any questions or comments from the council?
Just one.
Mr. Minchuk.
I don't have any problem with this, but what was the BZA's action on this?
They approved.
Okay, it's
Four in
not shown
favor.
here. Yeah.
It's on the paperwork.
Okay. Anyway, I was just curious. Maybe I missed it. I looked at the paperwork
That's
and I didn't have either one checked off.
Yeah, this is for approval.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call, please, and Mr. Pettit's still absent. Kelly?
Councilman Hardaway,
Yeah.
Minchuk,
Yes.
Mrs. Uzelak,
Yes.
Mr. White,
Yes.
Mr. Bella,
Yes.
5 in favor.
5 in favor, motion carries.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to the town.
Yes. Thank you. I'll be in touch about that free space for advertising.
I'll be in the conference room.
Okay. All right. Going back up to general orders, we have ordinance 21-10, ordinance of the town of Merrillville, Lake County, Indiana, amending ordinance 20-16, which is the park user fees for the town of Merrillville.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Minchuk, second by Mrs. Uselak. I believe this is the second reading, which is authorizing the, that there is no fee for Merrillville students to use the open gym time. Jan, would you mind approaching the podium?
Yes, sir.
18 and up, weekends when not rented, no charge with ID, is that right?
Monday through Thursday, students from Merrillville with ID, no charge, along with Friday, open gym 2 to 6 p.m. I'm sorry, 4 to 8 p.m. on Fridays, 2 to 6 p.m. on Sundays. Merrillville residents still have open gym for free, and that's for families as well.
That's great. Very good. Thank you, Jan.
You're welcome.
Any questions or comments on the ordinance or on the motion? Hearing none, this is a second reading ordinance. I'll open it up for public comment. Is there any public comment? Is there any public comment tonight on this ordinance? Seeing none, Madam Clerk Treasurer, roll call.
Mr. Hardaway?
Yep.
Mr. Minchuk?
Yes.
Mrs. Uselak?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Bella?
Yes.
5 in favor.
5-0. The motion carries. Moving on to ordinance 21-08. It's an ordinance relating to the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. Madam Clerk Treasurer. This
thought
was
this-
totally readable.
Yeah, I thought this was a second reading.
I'm sorry, it is second reading.
Yeah,
Did I not say it was second reading?
No, you said,
Motion to approve.
Second.
yeah.
Second reading. Motion by Mr. Hardaway, seconded by Mr. Minchuk for approval. Any questions or comments? The only comment I'll make is that a reminder, we do have a town council workshop Wednesday, May 19th at 4:30 to discuss this ordinance and specifically different ways that the town can spend its $7.1 million that we're getting from the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021.
Public comment?
Is there any public comment on this ordinance? This is a second reading ordinance. Seeing no public comment, roll call, please.
Mr. Hardaway?
Yep.
Mr. Minchuk?
Yes.
Mrs. Uselak?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Bella?
Yes.
All 5 in favor.
5-0, motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Moving on to old business, is there any old business before us? Moving on to new business, any new business before us, council?
Mr. President,
Mr. White.
I just want to invite any council members tomorrow at 6 p.m. at the community center, holding a community meeting there. Congressman Frank Mervan is going to be speaking via Zoom. Some of the topics are going to also be American Rescue Plan, as well as sexual violence against women. Additionally, State Representative Vernon Smith asked him to give the community a legislative update. Also asked County Councilman Charlie Brown to come. And the reason I did this, Mr. President, was because they need to see who their constituents are. And that's why I asked them to come there.
That's great.
I think it's a good thing. And again, any council person or anybody else that wants to come at 6 p.m. tomorrow at the Dean and Barbara White Center is invited. Thank you.
Very good. Any other new business before us?
Mr. President,
Mr.
excuse me.
Reardon.
On Councilman Pettit's behalf, under Economic Development Committee, the Economic Development Committee of the council met, heard from multiple tax abatement applicants. Those will be presented to the town council for consideration at your May 25th meeting.
Very good. Thank you.
Is it May 25th or June the 8th?
The first meeting, Councilman, would be the 25th, and the follow-up meeting to that for final consideration would be June 8th, sir.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Pat.
Mr. President,
Councilman White.
I apologize for missing the meeting about the parade. Had a decision been made as to will we go forward with it?
The feedback I received from the council just through phone calls and email was that we don't feel that it's a good year to do the parade this year. Some of this pressure with the Dean and Barbara Wright Community Center, and also not having time to plan something. So the consensus was that we don't do a parade this year and really do a super parade next year.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
That's it.
Open to the public. Is there any public comment this evening? Nobody wants to talk tonight. Well, come up to the podium and state your name and address, and you can ask your question, no problem. We don't give tax advice or anything like that, you know.
Okay. Oh, my name is Yuma Allen Jr., 625 West 79th Avenue, Sophomore Park. Okay, I have a septic tank, and it need to be replaced or connected into the sewer line. So what's the procedure I need to go through or who I need to contact?
I could talk about this. Southmore Park, are you on the inside or the outside of the horseshoe?
I'm in, but outside.
On the outside, yeah, 'cause I know half of Southmore Park was done and the other half was not. Merrillville Conservancy District, and I know the septic's out there are in really bad shape.
Yes.
Merrillville Conservancy District has, I believe, and please don't quote me for this, you have to contact them directly. I believe they have a project approved already to complete Southmore Park.
Okay.
When that's gonna happen, I can't tell you. You have to directly go to them. I apologize. They're definitely a separate entity from the town. So you'd have to go through the Conservancy District
Conservancy,
and talk with them directly. But I'm almost positive that they have that project approved and ready to go. But you would have to call them and find out when and how, so.
Oh, okay. But I know there's a few people, well, some of them do have the, connected to the,
Right.
Yeah, I might have it backwards, but I know they did half of that subdivision
Oh,
already.
right, you did say
They
it,
want to finish
okay.
the other half, yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Right, with the annexation or whatever they need to get done, they asked the town, and we said, no problem, whatever you need help with, we're more than happy to help, so. I don't
okay.
know what stage in the process they're in right now, we'll definitely have to check, because that is one huge project in my ward is that one, and the pump station that we're still waiting on to go to Stifford Park hasn't been done yet either, so I want to reach out to them myself and ask them, how are things looking for breaking
Okay,
ground
well,
at these
I
projects.
guess I'll give them a call tomorrow to see if they can, Okay, all right, thanks.
Good luck to you, sir.
So, Mr. Minchuk, along those lines, you and I spoke rather recently about getting together with the utilities in town. Would you mind scheduling something through your
Yeah,
committee?
I was planning on reaching out to them because if the last rain we had, of course, that spot in Turkey Creek again hit again, and people wanting to know when we're gonna break ground, so
Okay.
I'll definitely reach out.
We had kind of merged the utilities in with Public Works. It made a lot of sense to
That's
do
fine.
that, and we didn't do much last year at all. So I think it's time we get it all at the same table. And like Richard was saying, we're celebrating 50 years of being a town, and it seems like the same neighborhoods have the same
Yeah,
issues. And we
absolutely.
have our 100-year rains every 4 weeks,
Yeah,
seems like.
yeah.
So I think once and for all, let's see what we can do to help them and
Yeah, whatever we can do, I
get it
mean,
done.
I know the
Same
projects are approved. I don't know what they're waiting on, but whatever we can do to help, I would like to help.
Okay, sounds
I know the Steffick Park one, that's gonna be a huge bonus to the whole, all Turkey Creek.
Absolutely.
One of the things, and I'll have to talk about this later, in detail, is we wanted to bring down that big giant green wall that was at Steffick Park because it was causing a lot of problems with security. Kids were hiding behind it. The police were having problems. They rode past the park and the kids were hiding behind the wall, doing things kids shouldn't be doing behind that wall. When we originally sat down with MCD, I asked them if that could be part of the project, is bringing that wall down and kind of grading out the area. And they were all for it, but I think once they got into the plans and saw the cost of it, it was just not feasible for them. But it's gonna be a lot more feasible for the town, so I wanna see what that cost is like. If it's something we can help out with, I think it's gonna help everybody. So I'll look more into it and report back.
I kind of recall that that wall coming down was all part of the whole package and what we approved and why we approved it and why we gave them the land.
That's what I thought
Free
as
of
well.
charge and all that, so.
That's what I thought as well, so, but there seems to be some kind of a roadblock, so I'll definitely look into it, sir.
Okay, thanks. All right. Mr. Reardon, would you pull that paperwork when we approve that, just so it's handy?
Yes, I will.
The MCD project, okay.
Yeah.
Moving on, anything else, council? No. Moving on to announcements, Plan Commission meeting, May 18th at 6:30. The RDC meeting will be May 25th at 6:15, and our next town council meeting is May 25th at 6:30 here at Town Hall.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion by Mr. Hardaway, second by Mrs. Uselak for adjournment. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Good
Get
meeting.
them all signed? Leonard,
They're-
everything signed?